Hello? Yes, this is Penny Priest. Yes, I'm a student at Morehead State University. No, I do not want to buy any more magazines. No, I am not interested in any books on CD either. Thanks for calling. Goodbye. How many times do you receive phone calls like this one in a day? I receive them so many calls a day, my husband threatens to remove it from the house daily. I'm speaking about the telephone, the instrument that connects us to people around us who are close and far away, and all we have to do is pick up the telephone and dial. The telephone has made many changes since the early years. Stick around and find out more about the wonderful world of the telephone. Let's begin with the earliest that occurred in 1667, in which Robert Hooke creates an acoustic string telephone that conveys sound through a taut string or wire by mechanical vibrations. We know this sound as kids playing with their friends in the backyard using 2 cans or cups and a string pushed through the middle, pulled very tight to transfer sound. Later through the years of history, electricity was the cutting edge of technology in the 1870s. Young scientists and inventors were attracted to the newest thing on the market, a lot like the youth of our nation is today. Many inventors were experimenting with electricity and the things electricity could do. On June 2, 1875, Alexander Graham Bell, while experimenting with his technique called harmonic telegraph, discovered he could hear sound over a wire. The sound was that of a twanging clock spring. And on March 10th, he hooked up his latest design, known as the liquid transmitter, into an electrical circuit, and Watson heard Bell's voice. Bell's greatest success was achieved on March 10, 1876, with the invention of the telephone. The communications potential contained in his demonstration of being able to talk with electricity, this far outweighed anything that simply could not be achieved with a dot and dash system which could be implied through the telegraph. When one new technology is discovered, the old one usually dies out, and that was the case with the discovery of the telephone. The telegraph system was dead. With the famous words of Alexander Graham Bell to his assistant, Thomas Watson, "Mr. Watson, come here. I want to see you." A new way of communicating was born. Mr. Bell was dating the deaf daughter of Gardner Hubert, who was Maybelle Hubert. In July of 1877, Alexander Graham Bell married Maybelle, and the Bell Telephone Company was formed by Gardner Hubert. The Charles Williams shop made the first telephones under the direction of Thomas Watson, who was also the research developer of the company. By the end of 1877, there were 3,000 telephones in service. By mid-1878, the telephones in service under the Bell Company were 10,000. In 1889, a public telephone with a coin pay mechanism was installed at the Hartford Bank in Hartford, Connecticut by the Southern New England Telephone Company. This invention allowed people to make calls when they could not use their home phone, or maybe they did not have a telephone. In 1885, American Telegraph and Telephone Company was formed, better known as the business we call AT&T. By 1900, the Bell Company had 600,000 telephones in service. The business of the telephone was growing rapidly. By 1910, that number jumped to around 6 million telephones in service. By 1907, AT&T began to monopolize the telephone industry, and people were complaining. And as we know, when enough are complaining, something has to be done to take care of the problem. In 1934, the government began to regulate companies through the Federal Communications Commission, better known as the FCC. This allowed the government to set rates, decide on the services offered, and equipment that companies could charge customers. By the 1940s, car phones began to make way in American cars. The growth of technology with the telephone was yet again going. In 1960, the Bell Company installed its 1 millionth phone booth. And by the mid-1960s, AT&T engineers Joel Engel and Richard Frankel perfected cellular technology to allow frequency, reuse, and call handoff so you wouldn't lose your call as you moved from one cell to another. By the 1980s, the growth of the telephone was huge with a whopping 175 million customers. The design of the telephone itself changed over the years also, from long stick in which the caller would speak and wait to hear the other person, candlestick rotary dial, round base rotary dial in 1927, and then the wall mount, which had the dialing mechanism inside the handheld piece, was introduced in 1965. In 1968, the touch-tone dialing phone was being manufactured for household use. In March 13, 1984, the first handheld cellular phone was purchased for $4,000. During the 2000s, present to present, cell phone usage has skyrocketed. More people tend to invest in cell phones instead of a house phone attached to the wall. Once again, the advancement in technology is causing a change in the telephone industry. More home telephones are becoming an obsolete item due to the cell phone convenience. Today, the telephone has made our life more convenient and has been a major staple in today's home. With technology changing, some products that were once advanced at the time have since today become obsolete with new inventions. Let's revisit the payphone versus the cellular phone. You can travel many miles and still not see a payphone in operation. They have almost become extinct due to the invention and the convenience of the cell phone. I do not think Americans could imagine a life without the telephone. The invention of the telephone has made communication as simple as eating. More and more people are staying connected with each other, whether they are communicating through voice or text, they are communicating. With the new cell phones, people use the telephone for more than just talking. They are texting, messaging, taking pictures or selfies, and surfing the web. It seems you can't walk down the street without seeing someone talking or texting on the telephone. Wow, how technology has changed. What will the future hold for the telephone? We have phones that are installed in glasses and watches. I cannot wait to see how the phone develops over the next 20 years. Thank you for listening, and remember, when the phone rings, someone is on the other side trying to communicate with you. Be nice and answer.